So, uh, welcome Jerome to this Quad House Asian Film Festival. So, what I would like to know first is what are you, how are you feeling about this festival that is going on?
I was curious to come in Kolkata, and because the relation that we had created with Shapat Das the recent years was very interesting for us. Yes, he's so passionate in what he's trying to do there, and it was a good opportunity for us also to try to settle up for the first time a workshop in India. And Shapat was very open-minded and showed us a big desire to make it with us. So no, we are just here with some expectation. I'm gonna see afterwards what happens. But no, I'm glad to be there. That's for sure.
So, what do you look forward to in this festival particularly?
What I don't know. I'm just curious about what's gonna happen during the week, the relationship that we can create there for the future, and if we can, because the idea of the workshop for me is important. We don't want to make a one-shot workshop, but after this first experience, maybe we can make it with more precision in the next years and to build up their kind of platform, a basic one, to enlighten and to give our support if we can to promote independent film in India.
The next question would be, what is your outlook about the Indian cinema and South Asian cinema as such?
Well, it's a big issue because each country is different for me, and I don't want to compare the films coming from Vietnam with the one I used to watch from Indonesia or from Thailand, with India, which is the country that has the biggest history in terms of cinema in the whole region. So India is a world apart for me. As a country, because it's very complex to have a clear point of view on India, because there is such a diversity in this country in terms of cultural background. The history of the country is a special process too. The difference of language all around the country, which is an incredible richness. And the Indian cinema is also very diverse. I know my first experience as an audience with Indian film was a long time ago because I was a teenager on that time. I discovered some important filmmakers like Satyajit Ray and Ritwik Ghatak when I was a teenager already. And then I moved to Gurudut and many other ones. And it often amazed me a lot. And Piazza is one of my favorite films ever. I watched it about 50 or 60 times probably, and I can sing the song if you want. No, I'm joking. And so now what's going on with the Indian cinema nowadays? It's what that really excites me, because we feel that the people will want to create something new. I don't know if it's new because what is new in cinema is very difficult to say it. But the present time of India is not the past time of India, and the expectation of the youth and the young filmmakers and producers are not the same that the generation before. So I'm just here to clear my point of view about these evolutions. Yeah, I'm always curious to see what the people want to bring, what they want to talk about, how they want to express themselves, and why they choose cinema to express themselves, because they could choose something else, painting, music, or theater, other kind of arts. But why cinema? Why cinema? And I don't know. So I don't know what is cinema. I'm always looking. I think I know a little about that because I teach for a long time, but I want to forget what I know. That's the main idea.
So you being the festival director, the artistic director of film festival yourself, so how do you think this festival will add value to the South Asian film fraternity or the?
I think that the first point is to give an opportunity for the Indian audience and the Bengalese audience to watch those films on big screen and to take advantage of the festival to open their skills and view on what is cinema nowadays in the region. This is the first important point. And also to compare their experience with the discovery of these films, and the festival is always an important and good moment to share your feelings and thoughts about what you have seen, what you think, or what you thought about the films you have seen previously. And it takes time to create a culture and reflexes to watch new things. I think it's the fourth year for the festival this year, and I know that it takes a long time to create a platform that everybody can identify himself to what is going on there. That's why for us to come at the early stage of the festival in the fourth years and to give us our humble support to the team was also important for us.
What is your view on the ongoing controversy between Khan and the Netflix issue?
I think that Cannes has a good position in relation with Netflix. I have a Netflix account. I never watch it. My kids used to watch a little bit Netflix, but under my control, because there is so many bad things on Netflix. I don't know. The cinema is always for me a kind of experience and adventure. I don't know what I'm going to go to see, and I don't want that anyone decide for me what I want to see. On Netflix, it's exactly the contrary. I just finished an episode of a series, or I'm watching a film, so there is another one that starts. It's like they were able to analyze what I was expecting for. I really don't like that. So I think that today Netflix is now trying to buy theaters. They tried to do it twice in US. I think they want to do it in Europe the same, because that they know that if they want to have a better image and to enlarge their view as exhibitors of films, not on your platform, they have to do theatrical to take what I can say the aura, the cinema is as the theatrical experience give a kind of sacred dimension to what is on the screen, never on the TV. It cannot happen on the TV. And now I know that the youth and even myself were watching a lot of series on TV, but it's not because it's on TV, it's because we need fiction. And probably the weakest point of the cinema nowadays is the narratives and the character and this kind of popular connection with the audience. So if it's not on cinema, in the American cinema, yeah, it has totally disappeared. Yeah, it's only superheroes. I don't give a shit for superheroes. It's so boring. Sometimes it's good, but it happens once every 5 or 6 years. So I don't connect with that. But and Netflix is coming after a big movement that's from HBO to other ones, to AMC and this kind of things. I produce very original product for TV. So Netflix take the benefit of this context that provides a lot of new opportunities of content to take the control, but it's gonna stop maybe soon, because Amazon is on it, Apple is on it, and Disney will create its own platform very soon, if it's not already done. So I think that Netflix is just a niche that is open now. They take benefit of that in terms of economy, but for how long, I really don't know, because the competition to control the contents and the exhibition is like a war, and so for how long Netflix is going to be the master of the game, I really don't know. So that's why the distance that Cannes took with Netflix is also a way to say you are not controlling what we want to show. We decide what we want to show, and we decide how we want to show it. So Cannes shows a kind of determination of integrity in relation with the influence of Netflix. That's a fact.
Okay. So, if I'm not wrong, you also published a book.
Yeah, a year and a half ago.
Tell us something about that.
It was for the 40th anniversary of the festival, and usually when you are celebrating an important anniversary, you publish a book with the photos of the most important guests that you have welcomed. And so I did exactly the contrary. There is no picture in the book, only text. And I take the benefit of the book to depict a kind of portrait of what is cinema today, inviting some other friends of mine to write about what they feel about the change of cinema and what was the most important change or aesthetic adjustments of the last decades, probably, or the last 20 years. So critics from Japan, from Latin America, American, from Hong Kong, researchers and philosophers too. So altogether, we print about 18 texts in this book to try to tell what was important for us in the last evolution of cinema in the recent years, since we switched to digital, because most of the things we are talking about in the book are in digital. And often, like it was the same with DVD and then with TV, everybody was always singing the song of the death of cinema every 3 or 4 years. Each technological adjustment was a kind of risk for the future of cinema, and it's never the case. It's just a question of adjustments, and the image, the digital image you watch on screen nowadays are not the same that the image we're watching 10 years ago. Now the DOP are really controlling the digital. It was not the case 10 years or 12 years ago. They were looking for references, and now they got it. But the material will change in 2 or 3 years, and we're going to switch for 8 or 12K, I don't know, and it's going to be another transform. So it's always an evolution of a process. There is still sound, there is still image, there is still light, there is still actors, reality in the films. So this doesn't change. I always comparing the cinema, with a stone, and suddenly the climate is very hot, and at the same time there's a lot of rain, and 10 years after we have a dry, no water, and the stone is not the same, but it's always the same stone, and what you look on the stone has a little bit. So it's a very geological process, I can say. And my work as an artistic director of an historian too is just to look at the stone and to look what is the transformation of the material and how this material is connected with the earth. We have the foot on it, and that's more or less what I can say in English. I could say it better in French probably.
No. Thank you very much for giving your time
Yeah,
for the interview.
my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.